So it's really exciting working on this historic house, 1724. Nathan mentions that he's worked on a very old house, same period. So we're stopping to look at this house and look at these great details. It's a one-story cape. You can tell right away from the windows and from the siding and from the scale of everything that it is a really great historic building. A lot to study. I noticed first that the windows are kind of sticking off from the wall. That's one of those early clues that this has been framed a little bit different. So pretty cool house. One of the things I'm seeing that I wanted to show, we're talking about windows. These window frames are attached to the building, right? I mean, that's what we're looking at.
The plank frame is attached to the sheathing that's on the carries some of the weight from the frame down to the ground. So this is what you can see from the outside. It projects out from the building. The sash is actually sitting outside the building envelope.
Your house is 1724, right? Would you consider those same period, or just what are we looking at as far as just form here, style and things like that? It hasn't changed, still Georgian. So here's an example of a house that was built in 1780, but still has a lot of those earlier Georgian details. Now, 1780s technically is getting into the federal period, but remember that is kind of a moving target. And it's not really this perfect Georgian stops here and federal starts here. So the first question I had is paint colors. Like, why is this house black?
Black paint I don't think is a period paint necessarily.
Okay.
But, more of the earth colors, red iron oxide, yellow iron oxide. I mean, black, there's a black iron oxide, but I don't think the sashes and other things picked out in black.
So most houses, colonial houses, are white because of white lead. Is that true?
Well, white lead is a big component of it, but I think it's more than the 19th century that they're painting houses white.
Before then, going back to an earlier period, you're looking at earth tones. You're looking at umber, and you're looking at sienna, and you're looking at these colors that we saw at Colonial Williamsburg. So the reds, the yellows, the black in this case, browns, deep browns, those are all historical colors because they were basically taking those earth minerals, mixing them with the linseed, and coming up with these colors. The siding, you've got this really close, this not original siding, but we're only seeing about a 2-inch face there.
What we do archaeologically, when we take apart a facade, we can look at the nail holes in the sheathing, put different color toothpicks in those holes and see what lines up, see what makes sense, see how many different generations of shingles or clapboards or whatever siding has been on it. This siding, this spacing is fairly rare, because what that shows is an exhibition of wealth. You know, if you can afford to, rive out, because these are, in this time period, all the clapboards, and the word clapboard is derived from cleft board. So you're cleaving out, you're splitting out boards from a log to use as clapboards, to cover your house. So the clapboard face, was really small. One of the things I'm fixing on my Wednesday videos is this siding width, To me, to my eye, it's clearly a dating tool for figuring out when something was built. Certainly when you're building new houses, I'm always recommending a 4 to 5 inch face as opposed to a 6 or 8 inch face, because I think it's an earlier look. This one showing a 2-inch face, as Michael was saying, kind of a wealthy detail that they were showing off, but you don't see that much. That's not that common. Really, the siding piece is important for us as we're designing houses today. I mean, overall, the form's really pretty, right? It's an early period house. It looks really nice. We're gonna go inside and check it out. Is there any other critique or issues you have with kind of how it's put together? So I don't know if you noticed, but the windows on the first floor, obviously historic and great. The windows in the second floor were funny to me, and I sat there looking at it and going, something's wrong here, something's not right. And then you see the check rail and some of these parts and pieces of that window kind of drooping. Well, let's go inside, but before we go in, I want to show the window frames there on the outside. The bottom sill of some of these windows, you said, is smiling at us, right? There's a little bit of movement in it. What's going on with that?
Yeah, so PVC was used to reproduce these windows up on the second floor here. We know as modern builders that PVC moves a lot with heat, and it expands when it gets hot and it shrinks when it gets cold. And so in the summertime, because of it being painted black, it's gonna expand a lot. Like some of these windows or some of these sills are expanding a 1/4 inch.
Wow.
In their length.
Well, the reason I wanted to go there and wanted to just kind of pound on this because it really bothers me today that craftsmen think that we have to have AZEK or concrete or these other things, these modern materials, because wood doesn't last any longer. And I look at that and go, well, if you knew how to pitch a windowsill so that the water dripped off, if you knew how to do some of these old ways of building, you wouldn't have to use that crap. And so, you know, the middle window, that sill, you can see it kind of has this sway in it. And here's an example of this new material that's failing, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, so they're expanding and contracting so much that they're actually pulling away from the sash. And so it loosens and tightens those window sash in a way that it makes it inefficient.
We are not always making the best decisions for our clients. One, we don't know how long those products are going to last, so it's not a guarantee of a long-lasting term. Instead, okay, we've got houses that are 200 and 300 years old, and if we would just copy those details, we would know that we've got something that's going to last, guaranteed, if we build it like they're building it, 200 to 300 years. So those are the decisions we need to make. They're regretting that one decision, and you know they're going to have to replace those soon because they just, you know, they're only going to get worse. So it's kind of a interesting irony that's going on in building right now. It's something I always rant about because it drives me crazy, that if we just built it right, we wouldn't have to use these fake products. There, you got me going. Let's go inside because they've got some a fireplace mantle wall that I think is very similar to the one over there. Inside, we're looking at a great house with a bunch of great details. The wide plank floors, okay, the timber work that's going on the inside that you're seeing. Those are the things that, ceiling heights, those are the things that evoke a time and a place that makes us feel, oh my gosh, I'm in an old house, okay? Okay, so we're in that main original part of the building, the backside of that main fireplace we saw up top. Got a mantle shelf that's similar to the shadow lines of the panel over at your house. Talk to us about this arrangement. We've got panels here, we got vertical tongue and groove boards. Is that typical?
That's typical. This is the cooking area of the house, is the keeping room as it's known as traditionally. So you got a cooking hearth, bake oven, and raised panels surround around that. So that's the most prominent part of the house. That's what you're looking at. So a raised panel is a more costly, construction than just vertical boards. Then off to the right-hand side of it, we do have one raised panel up over the door, but it's a vertical board, just a board and bead wall. It's probably just 1 inch thick. It might have plaster on the other side of it at this point, or might not have done that originally. But those are all common things in terms of, it's a very quick way to build a wall. It's just 1 inch boards, hand planed both sides, beaded, tongue and grooved, then set up.
The width of the framing of the wall was like 2 inches, and my door was like 1 inch, okay? I love that detail. I love the hardware. I love the way the door swings. There's an authenticity there as opposed to our 3.5 inch wall with 1/2 inch sheetrock on either side, then trim, and all of a sudden your wall is this thick. When you see a wall that's half that size and a door that's really thin, you have immediately turned your brain into, okay, I'm somewhere different. This is not normal. This is not what I'm typically seeing. So all of those different things are clues in your brain, and they make it authentic and they make it wonderful because they're transformational. Okay, so now we're in this would be a front parlor. Is that what this room would be called?
This would be possibly, probably there's usually 2 parlors in the front. One's a more prominent parlor, one's a lesser parlor. So, a raised panel surround such as this, firebox opening, andirons.
And they put plaster on that wall, wood's on the other side.
Yeah, so we do have, in this situation, you got the vertical boards behind here, then you got a molding that's applied to the jamb that provides thickness to provide plaster. So this is haired-line plaster.
So then we go into that front parlor, okay? And here you are seeing typical Georgian rooms, okay? Where you have one wall, often a fireplace wall, fully paneled, okay? And then the other walls in the room either have a wainscot or a chair rail, but are not fully paneled. Going back to the 1724 house, that too was that solid paneled out wall. It had all kinds of damage where it had been cut and things like that. And then the lime burn was where they had added the plaster over it later. But you're looking at an original wall, original detail with the painting, with the size, with the raised panels, the style and rail, width and depth, and all of those different details that are so authentic. There's a commonality, right? And and a clue that I'm in an old house because of the way it's put together, because of the way that wall was put together, because of the size of those panels and the raised panels. Those are all clues that kind of help us know where we are and understand the space. So fun to see a 1780s house and a 1724 house both sharing that same kind of detailing. So we're at 1780s, you're 1724, same kind of, way they lived, same kind of styling, raised panels. We're not into flat panels of the Federal period, right? So I mean, we're still seeing some of the same thing. Looking at these windows, this looks like a modern profile and shape.
So 1725 is like in 1 inch wide molding.
Right.
And then as time progresses, they're thinning out more and more. So by 1780s, you might only have like a 1/2 inch or 5/8.
I see. So, and you've got taller ceilings in this.
We do.
I mean, this is less than 8 feet. Scale of the rooms are a little bit bigger in yours, right?
So this is what we take our students through at North Bennett, is how to think about the proportioning of a raised panel wall. You try to find an original example if you can. At our site, we've got one original panel. Fortunately, was found underneath the plaster. He just plastered right over it. So that we've got that as an example of that, what that carpenter's mindset was, to proportion everything out. We can reproduce the one on the opposite side of that second floor room. And then we've got to think about the ones down below too. But we found objects. We found in the dismantling of the house, we were able to find pieces and parts of the painted parlor that we can extrapolate out from that.
So you'll have a total of 3 walls like this.
4 total.
4 total.
Yeah.
And we've got one.
Including the original one.
Right, okay, yeah, nice. Yeah. So great house, great stop, fun thing to see Nathan's work and to see that house come together. Fun for me, right, dating an historic house like that, looking at it, looking at the details, seeing what's authentic, having Michael there to answer questions. I can learn a lot from that. We can learn a lot from that. Now I'm excited to go back and see the 1724 house. Come join me.